You're listening to the Bob and Bo Show. Here are your hosts, Ty Bob and Ty Bo. Welcome back to the show, everyone. I'm Ty Bob. We're joined by Ty Bo and Sean. You can follow us all on Twitter at the show's Twitter at Bob and Bo Show. If you're joining us on YouTube, we thank you. To kick us off, man, the Kansas City Chiefs with a big fat dub over Tom Brady, 41-31 in Tampa Bay. As so there was an Instagram live. I'm sure everybody's seen it by now, but Instagram live, I believe it was Jalen Watson's and Josh
I thought it was
Williams.
Josh Williams. Or what,
Josh
is he
Williams,
the one who said
is
it?
he the one who said it? I believe it was Jalen Watson's IG. Willie Snead was in there. And then Justin
Legarius Snead.
LJ.
LJ. Goodness, I'm all over the place today. And then Josh Williams comes up and says, "Put his old ass in the dirt." And I thought that was hilarious. But
which LJ did that night.
Yeah, he did. I thought they needed a coffin on the sideline. Like Tom got up, dirt all in his face mask. I thought he may just be retiring at that exact point in time. But speaking
instead of a halftime retirement, like it's just like mid third quarter, like fuck it, man.
Hey, we've had halftime retirements in the NFL. It wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility. Be pretty funny. But speaking of putting old people in the dirt, Sean, I think you've got something for us.
I got a bone to pick with you, Ty Bob.
Yeah.
This man picked against the Chiefs against the Bucks.
I did.
Oh my god. Yeah, dude.
He picked against the Chiefs, and look what happened.
Hey, so do I just need to continue picking against the Chiefs every week? Just tank my pick'em record?
I'm not going to pick against them.
If you want the punishment, I mean, are you a glutton for punishment? You want this action?
Hey, I may get the punishment, but then like the Chiefs would win the Super Bowl. So which one do you guys prefer?
I'm going to keep picking the Chiefs. So
no matter what.
I was wrong. There's a lot of stuff. We'll get into that. But yes, that's a big bone that a lot of people have had to pick with me this week. It's interesting, though, that Patrick Mahomes is not out here only breaking records. He's also ruining lives. And that is Tom Brady's football career. He is absolutely ruining, but also his family career. To be honest, I don't think it should have been reported. We should be leaving. Yeah. We should definitely be leaving personal matters like this alone, but it has been reported. So we're going to say something about it and then we'll move on. Giselle and Tom Brady have hired a divorce lawyer. So Patrick Mahomes is out here ruining football careers and families. You absolutely love to see it.
Kind of. I mean, I love to see it because it's Tom Brady, but if it was literally anybody else, I would just sucks to suck, man.
You love and hate to see it, but at the same time, like he's also brought it upon himself. You're 45, still in the NFL. She's a supermodel and been taking care of your children. And a child that's not even hers. Most people probably don't know this. Tom Brady has 3 kids, only 2 with Giselle. She's been taking care of all 3.
I think it comes down to just that. You think that's like the total reason?
No. It's probably the largest. I would easily say it's probably the largest factor. Like she has come out over the last couple of months and saying like, we just want you home. So is it the largest portion? Most likely. Is it the only reason? Hell no. My marriage of 13 years isn't going to go away because of that specifically. We'll jump over into something. Oh, go ahead.
No, I don't like Tom Brady, so I'll smirk every time I see something like that.
The memes of it are
like I don't think
good.
It's cool. Like I was like, man, if I was in that situation, like they got a magnifying glass on you, man.
I mean, I would have if it was me, I would have retired like 4 years ago, like she asked, but somebody I saw a tweet earlier today. Somebody photoshopped the bio in Tom Brady's Twitter profile. So in his bio, it says football and family. And so they edited it out and whited out the and family portion. It just says football. They need to do that for Aaron Rodgers as well.
And drugs.
But with that said, there's a lot of cool things going on around the NFL these days, and we're getting more and more leniency from the NFL in the way that players get to appear. This past week in week 4, players and coaching personnel were able to wear stickers of like their heritage. It was Heritage Month, so they got to wear stickers of their family's heritage either on their helmets or somewhere on their team gear. They're starting to do more and more cleats. We've obviously got October for that, and with the breast cancer awareness, and then players also get to pick an organization of their choosing. But teams are now being able to get an alternate helmet, and some teams are also coming out with more and more uniforms. So I think Tybo's got a top 5 for us on that.
Yeah, and you were docked points in my ranking system if you were able to get an alternate helmet and just said go black, black helmet. So I think that's dumb.
Deserved.
My preference in jerseys is like brighter colors. Like I don't have anybody on here that has like an all black. Maybe Cincinnati doesn't have an all black, do they? Anyways, my top 10, my top 5, top 5 and some. Favorite jerseys. It's just like a jersey collective, like the team's whole like jersey arsenal. You won't find jerseys like the Packers and the Steelers on here. Some of their weird throwback looking jerseys are ugly. They, if they played each other, or maybe the Steelers and the Browns, like if they played each other on a certain day with their like weird throwback looking jerseys, it'd just be like the ugliest football game ever.
Typically Thursday nights.
But with that said, I do have a couple of honorable mentions. I'll start off with the Tennessee Titans, mainly because one of their throwback Houston Oilers jerseys, the powder blues, that ranks in the top 5 everywhere. When I was looking up ranking lists on, best looking jerseys, they're cool. I do like a powder blue. There'll be another team on this list that has a powder blue, unfortunately. But those jerseys are dope, and they're cool enough to mention. The Chiefs are on my honorable mention because of their all whites and their all reds. Both of those are dope, but overall, I wish we could have some cooler looking jerseys. But that aside, the players do well wearing those jerseys, so we're good. Not a huge issue. Moving into the top 5. Number 5, as I said, real bright colors. The Seahawks make my number 5. Their lime green color rush is dope to me, and I know they've had some other cool jersey combinations in the past. So that's why they make the list. Number 4 is Cincinnati. I think some of their orange and black jerseys already look dope, but there's those all whites with the white helmet. Those are slick. I like those. Number 3, input from Ty Bob here. The Buccaneers with their creamsicle jerseys. They are, they were ranked top 2 everywhere that I saw. Like those are highly sought after jerseys, I would say. And if there was somebody cool enough for me to get a jersey, I don't know, like fuck it, I get a Rondé Barber jersey, and that creamsicle. But those are cool. And their regular jerseys aren't like real ugly, so the creamsicle is good enough to get them to number 3 on the list. Number 2, again, bright colors. I got the Dolphins. Their jersey arsenal is wide open. They have orange jerseys. I really like their all teals. You can't beat an all white. The Dolphins have a lot to work with as far as their colors and their combinations, so that's why they're number 2 on my list. Number 1 is the Bills. And unfortunately, that leads us into number one, being the Chargers. Just because, like Ty Bob we were talking about before, like they got like 7 different jersey like sets. Like they have so much to choose from. Everybody really likes their powder blues. So yeah, they're in the division, but you can't hate on them because they usually be looking cool.
But they don't be playing cool.
Man likes bright colors, but won't put in the pumpkin brownies.
No, they
I like
have
bright
so many
colors, but
ugly
this one doesn't
jerseys.
make it. Well, I will say the all Browns definitely are one of the reasons why they don't deserve to be up there. That combination is absolutely
You
horrific.
ever mess
The
around
only
on Madden and just like look through all people's jerseys like back in the day? Like the Browns had some like you could throw you could choose what jersey on top you wanted and what pants, like so you could just throw the ugliest thing together. Like I would have ugly showdowns, like just two people.
Those are the best.
they're orange, like the pumpkin bright orange top with just the brown bottoms would
Yeah.
potentially be the ugliest outside of like old timey Pittsburgh Bumblebee and old timey Brown or Broncos brown and yellow. Like what the Browns have with the brown and orange, that would be the worst.
Wearing the black shoes too.
Oh gosh, it'd just be woof. Well, that was a fantastic. I do like that. I'm hoping more teams are going to get uniform changes soon. Like Kansas City, what are we doing? We got white and we got red. Let's pick something else up. Let's throw in a yellow
We're classic.
or black.
Yeah, I don't think they're switching off of that anytime
And
soon.
I just want to add real quick. This top 5 came as a request. So please get those requests in there. Hit up the show.
Is that Mark?
Maybe.
Might have been Jeffrey. We're not sure. Free
I
shouts
forget.
out. Free shout out to either Jeffrey or Mark
Or
Nichols.
whoever you were.
It could have been me as well. I don't remember. I sent a lot to Tybo. I'll digress. That radio. Man, this was a fantastic game for a number of reasons.
It was Mark. Thanks, Mark. Shout out, Mark.
Done, Mark. What's that?
I just closed it.
This guy. Mark, no, you know who you are. I'll text you later. Either way, this was a historic game for one of the all-time Chiefs players, but also one of the all-time NFL players, just period. Travis Kelce moves into top 5 for most yards in a career. He, at the time, I don't remember what he ended up with, and I'm not going to do math, but he is above the 9,300 mark in only 131 games. Just to put that into perspective, though, the number 1 is former Chiefs great, now Atlanta Falcon great, Tony Gonzalez, with 15,000 yards at 270 games.
Is this just tight ends, though? Or is this
just tight ends?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just tight ends. So I did the math on that, including the rest of this season. Travis Kelce is going to have to play like an additional 8 seasons to get as many games played, and that's without missing a game, to play as many games as Tony Gonzalez did. Another 8 seasons. He would be 41 by the time he retired if he was to play another 8 seasons. Probably, I think his birthday's in the middle of the season, so he'd be 42.
Yeah, I don't think
He gets
he's
to
playing that long.
270 games. But the good news is he's on track to break that, within the next couple of years, should he stick around. It's he's averaging 1,000 a season at just around 9,000 to start out, 6 years. So he wouldn't have to break that 40 mark if he just wanted to stick around to break that record.
I don't like thinking about the end of Travis Kelce's career, man.
Hey, man, an additional 6 years.
I'm gonna shed a tear. Like
it's hard to think about. It's hard, but the good news is he's clearly going to be sticking around. He and Jason's podcast, top tier content
for sure.
And he may leave Kansas City. I don't think he would, but he's going to be around, and he's not going to leave us like Tony G. Bastard.
Well, because we gave Travis a ring.
Well, Atlanta
I mean,
didn't give Tony one, but he
I
apparently made his
understand
career
that,
as a
but
Falcon.
oh man, you just take. I mean,
I
Tony says some things without thinking sometimes. All right, we
Well,
got to give the man a break.
he can think himself out of
He is in
our
our Ring of Honor
Honor.
for a
He
reason.
can think
Okay,
himself out of
all
it.
right,
Get out. It was a really cool stat that also came up from the end of the game. Patrick Mahomes, clearly one of the things that I talked about and why I picked the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to win is because they had the number one defense. They only allowed 9 points on average through 3 games, 27 total. We did that in a half, which is wild. But Patrick Mahomes versus the number one scoring defense, he is 6-1. He is 6-1 against the number one scoring defenses in the league. His points per
That's
game
why
is.
I'll always pick the Chiefs, dude. Like at that.
Yeah.
I didn't know this beforehand. We lose to the
Oh,
Colts.
come on.
Okay. Hey, he was
Yeah,
5-1
but
before
like,
this game.
I don't know. You know,
There's also 31 points per game, 322 and a half yards on average or per game, and his touchdown to interception ratio is 15-7. Astronomical numbers.
Yeah. Patrick numbers.
Patrick numbers.
That's all I can say about his numbers.
and we know who's coming into town next.
We're ready for that.
Boys, what did you make of our game versus Tampa Bay, and how does it make you feel moving forward?
I thought it was amazing that we were rushing the ball so effectively. We switched it up completely. We went under center sometimes. We ran the ball effectively, and that opened up so much more for our offense. It kind of reminded me a little bit of it's not going to be the same as this team, but one of the first years Patrick was playing against the Jaguars completely crushed the spirit of that defense. They were no longer the same ever again. Is it going to be the same for the Buccaneers? Probably not.
I do remember that. Yeah.
Could you imagine Patrick killing 2 all-time defenses?
Yeah, and I the keys of the game last week, I totally forgot to say limiting turnovers and mistakes. Just, bonehead mental mistakes. But that's what they did. I mean, I really don't care a whole lot about Pat's interception near the end of the game. But no fumbles on special teams. Pacheco looked like he did some work that week. As far as the strategy of bringing it out of the end zone. So credit Dave Tube. But we played a near perfect game. Both sides of the ball. We didn't make a lot of mistakes. No, not a whole lot of penalties. That's the type of game that this team is capable of at any point. We just, we got to make sure we're taking the opponent seriously. And obviously, everything that was said on social media and just the fact that we're playing Tom Brady, we looked like we were ready. We didn't look like we were ready against the Colts.
Yeah, that was the big thing. Obviously, Andy had come out after the Colts defeat and said that we weren't prepared, and we'd covered that with just being ill-prepared versus unprepared. And it clearly came in prepared, but it was a reverse to last week's game against the Colts. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers automatically start off on the wrong foot by fumbling the ball. Elijah Lee, who went from being cut, put on the practice, being on the active roster, being cut, being put back on the practice squad, and then activated back onto the active roster, goes down the field and gets a fumble to start off the game so that Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce could link up for like 27 yards of total offense in 2 plays for a touchdown in 45 seconds. A wild week for Elijah Lee himself, but a complete opposite from the week before where Sky Moore muffs the punt and the game starts on the back foot all over. Special teams was a big unit. One of the cool things this week, Sky Moore is getting a ton of touches. He's getting back in. He had more targets this week than McCall has had through like 2 or 3.
Before we get too far away from it, just know all that stuff with Elijah Lee, like that's calculated. Like they know. Like Elijah Lee's not he's not surprised
Yes,
by all the
of
actions this
course.
week. Like he
No.
like you don't have to get ready if you stay ready, and that man has stayed ready for us. And they're in communication with him about what's about to happen.
For sure. Yeah,
So
no, it's not out of the blue that he's getting cut and re-signed. Like that is the thought process. Um and also good thing one thing to note is they can't do that again. They've done it twice now. He's been cut and picked up off of after he's cleared waivers, which is one thing. He's clearing waivers. So it's disheartening. They cannot activate him and cut him again. He will be gone. You can only cut a player 3 times, and after adding them to the practice squad 2 previous times, they're out. You either have to bring them back onto your active roster or they're done. They cannot go back onto the practice squad. So something to think about with our special teamers moving forward. But what
well,
do you guys?
Once Bucker's back, like you got to think he's going to keep that roster spot.
You would think so. Hopefully that's this week. We'll have to find out. But what are you guys making of you look at the snap count and McCole Hardman's share of snaps has gone down over the last since week 1. He started off with well over a 50% share, and now he's almost at the 40 mark, while Sky Moore is consistently climbing up and got more targets, like I said, than McCole over the last couple of weeks. Granted, we were up by quite a bit, but what are we making of this? Should we be expecting to see more of Sky Moore throughout the season? Is he there to take some spots?
I think he is there to take some spots, but I think it also is McCole dealing with a little bit of an injury. They want to keep him fresh for the whole entire year. They don't want to use him up right now, have him hurt, have him out for the year. They want to keep him fresh for when it actually matters in the playoffs. Because Sky Moore coming along, he's just a great addition piece to add in whenever down the road. Let him figure it out right now, then let them all come together at the very end of the year.
Yeah, I feel like if they trusted Sky Moore a little bit more, you might have seen McCole be a healthy scratch or something like. They're just easing him in right now, but I honestly would have liked to see McColl's snaps be lower than at 40%, because Sky Moore has shown crazy potential on offense, and McCole is just not as effective when it's his heel. Like I mean, he can't. It'd be hard to drive. It'd be hard to make your cuts and stuff. Like he can't. He's obviously not as effective when he's dealing with something like that. So I would have liked to see him sit a little bit more if he's still dealing with something that's nagging him. But I look for down the stretch, like I hate calling them gadget plays, but like look for Sky Moore to be in on some trick plays, misdirection, jet sweeps, certain types of plays like that come at a time to take the pressure off the offense. Down the road where games get a little bit harder and a little bit more competitive. The playoffs are looming. Look for him to get us out of, some situations to take the pressure off us, because he's somebody that can make a play that changes the game, just off his skill and speed. He's that type of guy. So, but they're just easing him in right now.
What do we make of McColl's situation? Clearly seems to have lost the trust of Patrick Mahomes. He's out on the field, but he's not getting targeted. He's not getting open. Obviously, there is the little bit of a nagging injury issue, but in a contract year, you would feel that a player of his caliber or believed caliber would be executing, or at least be garnishing some sort of target share, and that's just not happening.
I'm not buying into the chemistry issue. It's there's been plays that are like specific, like already in the season that were specifically drawn up for McCole. I don't think McCole has a tracking issue. I don't think it's a chemistry issue. Like it's just been a rough go. Like he He could have had 1 or 2 touchdowns in the Arizona game. He had decent production in the Chargers game, but that's where he picked up the injury, and the heel obviously affected him in the Colts game. But I mean, when McCole is back, when McCole is back to being McCole, I don't think, but at the same time, defenses are good, and we have a lot of weapons. Like, McCole needs to get healthy so he can continue to be one of those weapons. But it'll be all right. Like, Pat likes McCole Hardman. There's no doubt about that. McCole.
Yeah. McCole is also wide open for a touchdown at one point during the game. Pat just didn't see him. He's getting open, at least at some points. They're scheming him open for some things, but the way the play unravels and who Pat sees first sometimes is not always him. So just give it time. Pat has way too many weapons out there, so he's not going to get it every week.
It is a lot, and there's rumors out there going on. We'll get into this later as it comes forward, but there's apparently rumors of 5 teams that OBJ would like to go to, and the Chiefs have made that top 5 list.
I wouldn't mind it. I don't even care. Throw them in there. Like,
I wouldn't mind it either, but we're always in those conversations.
One point I want to make against number 17 on our team is Travis Kelce is a much bigger guy in stature. So it's very, when Travis is getting open like he was against Tampa Bay, it's hard to miss him. So, that's another reason that Ian McColl's a smaller guy. All right.
I'm more smaller.
Cut him a break. I mean,
maybe get good, McColl. Think the contract year is going to go defeated again. We'll go back to the game here. The defense looked also just as good, holding the Bucks running backs or all rushing to just 3 yards. Lombardi Lenny 3 carries, -3 yards, 3 yards total, ties the franchise record from, I believe, 19. If I heard it was like 1952 or something like that, in a game against the then San Diego Chargers, where we only allowed 3 rushing yards back then. Absolutely wild.
I was following something on Twitter that a guy that like looks in our record books. I thought something in like the 80s, maybe we held Tennessee to 3 yards rushing.
It'd be interesting if we've got multiple games with just 3 yards. I mean, that would be wild. I don't know. I was listening to the radio on 610 and they were talking about it.
Yeah. This game went the way I thought the Chargers game was going to go. Like, we jump out early, and Tom Brady or Justin Herbert, for the Chargers, would have had to throw the whole time. That they abandoned the run game pretty early. They did not let Lenny get going, but our defense was flying around. So Tom had to throw, and he threw over 50 times. So
you can't have an old man throwing that much past that time.
He's gonna tear his rotator cuff.
And he's already got a noodle arm. But I haven't seen the numbers on pressures. I've been trying to look this up. I didn't feel like we hit Tom Brady enough, although the pressure was obviously there. He was uncomfortable and moving in the pocket. For as bad as that offensive line has been, touching Tom Brady in any way.
That's Tom's MO, though.
Yeah,
I mean, he knows how to get the ball out.
He gets the ball out, but he has been hit more often by other teams with a defensive line that, quite frankly, probably isn't as good as Kansas City, especially with Chris Jones. I feel like we're slacking again. Like, this is reverting back to last year when we played critical. When we played Joe, dude, he spun out of a DB's arms. I understand it's critical. I'm looking at it's small things, but again, like, this is just a reminder of some of the things that happened last year. We played fantastic. I'm not taking anything away from that, but
you are.
this defensive line, while the defensive line struggles, the DBs and the linebackers get to run everything. Like if we can get all phases clicking, there's nobody stopping that defensive line, especially if we get a pass rush.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. We know who we have in Chris Jones, but everybody else, like, nobody's proven. Like Frank Clark had a better year in Seattle than he did in our Super Bowl run. Like Frank Clark is the closest, but still nobody else outside of Chris Jones is proven. Like we understand our situation. Like I'm thrilled to be seeing the level of play out of our secondary.
Mhm.
I didn't think our defense was going to be this good. Not a chance.
How about L'Jarius Sneed with his 3rd sack of the year? I believe I saw it somewhere on Twitter earlier. He has the top 3 or 3 of the top 5 fastest sacks this year.
I think it's 2.
2,
He's got 2 of them. Yeah.
But just to have that, him coming off the edge like that.
Tom nearly ended up with hand, foot, mouth syndrome.
Him, he's a wizard of the slot cornerback position right now. Still anticipating the return of Trent McDuffie because we'll just be complete. I feel like at that point.
Yeah,
but
Willie Gay.
Yeah, LJ is bringing the attitude that Tyrann Mathieu brought here. He's that type of leader on the defense right now. I mean, he's not necessarily making the same type of plays, but like just the attitude, the swagger, like that's how he's playing for us right now.
Would it be too much to liken LJ to the likes of Bernard Pollard?
No. No. Yes, it would be too much because I think LJ is better than Bernard Pollard, and Bernard was a safety.
So not enough.
I've been an LJ fan since we drafted him. I thought he showed out as a rookie. His pick against Devontae Adams last year, helped us seal that game. I'm an LJ fan for sure.
I think I meant that more in like the physicality side. Today, you don't see DBs who are willing to hit. Look at Jalen Ramsey, who won't hit anybody, or Marcus Peters, who literally runs away from tackling somebody. And then you get a guy like L'Jarius Sneed, who, as a DB, lives to go and lay the hit. That goes back to a
size. I know I'm bringing up another safety, but like size and the way he tackles, like maybe like Bob Sanders. But I don't. Maybe I haven't paid attention to the DB position like enough in my lifetime, but like I don't know someone who's played in the slot corner like this, like the way he has. Like I'm not thinking of any names, but he, like I said, I feel like he's attacking plays like Tyrann Mathieu did a couple years ago with us. Like,
makes sense. Let us know down in the comments below or add us on Twitter at Bob and Bo Show who L'Jarius Sneed and his physical play remind you of as a corner, not just a safety. Let us know some names we want to hear from you.
Speaking of a hard-hitting secondary player, how about that hit Juan Thornhill had on Mike Evans?
Ooh.
Oh man, he
completely illegal. Like, I mean,
what if he caught the ball? Would it be a hit against a defensive receiver then? Like, no.
Is that what the call was? I was waiting to hear from it, and then something happened. It was a defenseless receiver.
I think I remember being called a personal foul or something like that.
That's what I thought it was.
Unsportsmanlike conduct.
Okay, so it wasn't. Okay, so unsportsmanlike conduct is defenseless receiver, except he was completely defended because you saw his head come down and you saw him cover himself up. And so there were all indications that he was not that he was a completely.
Do they just want him to hug him at that point? Like,
he led with the shoulder, hit him with the chest. Like,
didn't hit him in the head. Like,
perfectly fine play. I don't think there's anybody in the league that disagrees with that, and unless you're a Tampa fan, which you should disagree with us, because I would disagree with you if it were vice versa.
It was bad. I mean, it wasn't for the game. I understand Tom's trying to get a TD at that point, but I don't agree with that ball placement. Like it transfers to rugby. Like we call it a hospital pass. If you throw it, at their face when they have somebody coming at them, you're leaving their ribs wide open. Like
There was an interview of Tom Brady, Mike Evans, Leonard Fournette. I think there was somebody else in there earlier. I believe it was this season. If not, it was last season because they were in Tampa Bay. It was right before the season kicked off, and they were asking Tom how he feels about the NFL and the way that they're uh, calling plays and penalties. And one of the things that he had mentioned was that he feels that the NFL and the rules and the referees are dumbing down the game and making the penalties a fault of the defensive player while it's actually the offensive player's fault. The quarterback, if getting his a receiver into a situation much like that where his player can be called a defenseless receiver, that's the quarterback's fault because he shouldn't have been putting it in that area because it's the quarterback's job to make sure, one, that he can make a play, number two, that he keeps his guys safe. And so I harken back to that. I thought it was pretty funny. I saw a couple tweets about it. What do you guys feel like it? Obviously, in this specific situation, and there are more to it, but like there has to be a happy medium between what we saw on Sunday with that play being totally an egregious call that shouldn't have been thrown, and then go back to Thursday and the Thursday before that with Tua, or the Sunday before that with Tua. Like there's got to be some sort of middle ground between the NFL making rules for all sorts of different issues.
Well, there's been this hot button phrase out there, like the eye test. Judging certain things, whether it be evaluating like a player's skill or looking at dirty plays and like trying to judge intention. Like there's this thing out there that everybody's been talking about. It's like it's got to pass the eye test. So you got to break that down even further. And like, what are you looking for in that eye test? Like, is it a hit to the head? Is there like excessive force? Did somebody get driven into the ground unnecessarily? Like, there's there's some obvious criteria um, that I feel like we should be able to come up with so that there's not just so much discrepancy and subjectiveness with these calls. It's frustrating as a fan, honestly.
Yeah, and football is a violent sport. You're going to see some hard hits no matter what. That's what makes it even tougher to really judge these. But like Tybo said, there are certain things that you see that just pop out. And whenever they always slow it down, it always looks worse in slow motion.
But I mean, you can't throw a penalty judging off whether a player is getting hurt or not. But like Mike was fine. Like this was a clean hit. Like I said before, it wasn't a hit to the head. I don't know how much more legal you want Juan to be in that situation. He's just playing football. Like there's an example that I'm thinking of. Maybe it was Jordy Nelson, but there was a Packers receiver that was like coming back for a ball, and he was already like down on his knees, and somebody just came in and like knocked. Cleaned his clock right to like shoulder to the face, and you know, I understand you're trying to break up a completion, but like that's one of those that's kind of like obviously unnecessary, and you just hit a guy that's completely defenseless. So
Yeah.
Do you think that there can be a happy medium found either by the NFL or by the players themselves and still keep, I get what people would call integrity of the game?
I feel like there has to be. You just got to put a little bit of effort in finding it, but we just see a whole lot of, like I said, discrepancy and subjectiveness. Like it certain points to certain fans, it's going to feel like the refs are just controlling the game. So,
Yeah, sadly. But that's also where everything starts to make more money and more drama and people pay attention and you get your clicks. And the NFL is king in that as they start to take over pretty much every category possible, especially now with Amazon partnering up. Um, was what are some of your takeaways offensively and defensively from this win against Tampa?
Offensively, running the ball. Said it at the beginning of the show, but running the ball helps our offense so much more. We can do so many more things when we run the ball effectively. And look at Pacheco run, man. He was running like he's trying to take a grown man's job. He was running with force. Like that is the perfect complement to Clyde. Clyde is not as forceful of a runner as Pacheco is, and just to have somebody come in and run that aggressive, that's what we need. I feel like the big bruising running back is something that we've needed for a long time, just to really set defenses straight. Passing the ball around, Pat does it better than anyone else. He's set fastest 20,000 passing yards in 4 games less than, was it Matt Stafford?
I think so.
Thought so too. And just the plays he puts out there. He's putting out highlight plays every time he plays. Not even touchdowns. The one where he's almost getting dragged down, just flicks it out to Juju on the side. Thought that was surely.
I thought he was gonna let that ball go before the guy got there,
yeah.
but he had to add a little bit of spice to it.
Man.
But that's what we know this offense is capable of. I don't know what it is on those days where we just don't have it clicking, but this is the team that we see in the playoffs. This is the offense that we see in the playoffs for the Chiefs. And it's always been in the back of my mind. I'm not worried about this team. I would say, running back competition is going to be a real thing for this team down the stretch. Clyde's decision making is still a little bit in question. I like him. I think he's great in this offense, especially the way Pat wants to use him. But it's nice to see a running back like Pacheco, just like, I know where I'm going. I'm putting my head down and I'm getting there. Clyde has a good low center of gravity. Like, he has great ability when he's running the ball, but like, his decision making is definitely still in question. And it's refreshing to see a running back like Pacheco just put his head down and get there.
For me, yes, we've seen, this is the offense that we know. This is the offense that we know. This is the defense that we're going to come to love. And it's going to be here for a long time, with or without Spags, hopefully without. But this is the offense we're going to come to know, and it can only get better from here. As we said against the Colts, that was rock bottom, man. Now the one thing that I'll want to be looking for is how can we maintain this? How far are we going to fall? Like, consistency, if we drop it all. Like, how often can we continue this type of form throughout the rest of the season? We saw in week 1, we've done really, really, we can do this. We saw in week 4, we can do this. We saw in week 2 and week 3, like, offense is slipping a little bit. There's our consistency issues. Can we ride this wave that we had out, and can it stick there? I'll be excited to see that as we go throughout the season, because it is going to be rocky. We've got some good teams coming up to play against, and it's going to be pretty fun. As we start to land this plane, there are a few more things out there. Number one, what are our thoughts on Orlando Brown? Obviously, I was a big proponent and very happy that he decided to come back. I wanted to sign him through 4 games. He's given up 13 pressures, while the rest of the offensive line, that's 4 other players, have given up only 10 more in 23. It's been a really poor outing from him now. 4 weeks, he doesn't lose you a contract. It also doesn't make you a contract. Does Orlando Brown turn it around like he did last year, or is he going to leave $20 million on the table?
He's definitely going to turn it around like last year. He missed most of the preseason or OTAs and all that stuff. Came back during the preseason, finally got it together then. Dealing with a nagging injury right now. Just give him some time. He'll come around.
I'm not going to call his performance poor through 4 weeks. In the Colts game was poor, but you got to realize the left tackle is usually facing the team's premier pass rusher on the other side of the ball. Orlando Brown still does great in the run game. But I mean, he's if he keeps this level of play up, he's not going to get the contract that he originally wanted. I don't feel like, but I think I saw somebody on Twitter say, "Do we think Atlanta Brown's going to be the left tackle of the future?" You know, who knows? But I feel like the way it's looking right now, we might be using a draft pick on a left tackle, next year. So
There's only 3 spots cemented in that offensive line right now.
I feel pretty good about Wiley too.
I feel good about Wiley, but I don't think it's cemented. Not by any means. Not with Niang, who's coming back off of injury. I don't think it's cemented by any means.
I think Wiley would have to go down for us to see Niang. I really do.
Well, we've seen it happen. He's had to go out for a couple plays so far. If Niang was in, he could have. You don't know. Hopefully, we're not hoping for injuries, but there has been possibility for Niang to come in. But I agree. For at least for the season, and then after that, it'll have to be revisited.
The way he's playing right now. Maybe not up there with the best of the best, but like he's top 10 right now.
He's very serviceable in that position, and he can move across the front. He's good to keep regardless. Is there anything that I missed so far from the game versus Tampa that you guys wanted to talk about?
I had one wild stat from Patrick's scramble touchdown.
Wild stats.
Wild stat here. This was Patrick's, I believe, it was his 4th or 5th touchdown where he scrambled more than 30 yards into a touchdown. There's only been one other player that's had one since 2018.
Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson?
I believe there's only been one other one where they scrambled 30+ yards into a touchdown.
That's what I was asking.
I didn't see it. They were just focused on Patrick on that one. So
he didn't get
honestly, those are some of his highlight plays, but like I don't like seeing him having to scramble 30 yards on a play to score a touchdown.
That was a little spin move jump shot touchdown.
He's not gonna be able to keep that up into his 30s, man.
He's gonna get smacked one time in his
30s. He's already not like fast. Like
he's sneaky fast.
He's not fast. You know what we mean. Oh. Well, listen, folks. It was a fantastic game. Again, the Chiefs beat the Buccaneers 41-31. The score does not indicate how much of an ass whooping that was.
I had the closest score in the prediction, by the way.
Did you?
What was your prediction again?
31-28.
Yeah, you did.
We move from one primetime game to another primetime game. We do not play again until Monday on ESPN. And let me tell you what, folks, it's Fader week. We don't say Raider around here. It's Fader. All right. Just like we call them the commies.
You just said Raider.
Nope. It's commies and faders. All right. I didn't say it. You said
it. I was happy to see them beat the Broncos. So I'm tired of Russell.
Yeah.
It'll be nice to, it's nice to have the number 1 seed so far locked up in the division. Hopefully we can keep it moving. I'll leave you guys with this stat right here as we hop out of here. Heading into week 5, Fader week, without Tyreek Hill, the Kansas City Chiefs have the league's number 2 offense. Let's keep it rolling. Go Chiefs.
Go Chiefs.
Go Chiefs.